like, when I gave my life to Christ and I was getting rooted, right? And yeah, part of me at some point when I first gave my life to Christ, I was still dibbling and dabbling in the things I did in my old life. But what if the Lord just ripped me and plucked me out right then and there? Tragic. It is bright. What is growing on, my gardening friends? We are out in the garden today because I have a lot to do, and I'm not gonna lie, I have not been wanting to do it. I am using you guys as a way to hold myself accountable to doing the things that I don't feel like doing in the garden. So I have a bunch of seeds that I need to get started in my seed trays. However, I'm gonna do my first garden experiment. So let me show you something really quickly. So I don't know if you remember, but I think it was in my first garden tour video, I showed you guys that I had something random growing here. I still don't know what it is, but look how healthy this is. And it's directly in the soil. Now I'm in Texas, and if you know Texas, most times Texas soil is known to be like clay-like and all the things, but this honestly is doing way better and looks way better than the things in my gardening soil. Let me show you one more thing. So this is a watermelon that a squirrel kind of just took out of my garden bed and just dropped it here, and look how good it is. I planted this and this and this at the same time. And so now I got an attitude, because why is it that the watermelon that got randomly placed in my backyard random ground that has not been amended, I did nothing to this ground, and it looks and is growing so much better than what I put the dirt from the box stores in? That got me thinking. One, I don't think I have good soil. No, I'm not going to say I don't think. I know I don't have good soil. My soil is not the best soil. I'm kind of working with what I got financially. And so I know my soil could be better, which can also create better looking and high yielding fruits. But you work with what you got. But now that I have this understanding that things are actually growing pretty well in the soil, my experiment is that I'm going to take a few of these seeds. Yes? What happened? Okay. Well, my experiment is that I'm going to take a few of these seeds, preferably the sunflowers, and I'm going to find a few spots along my garden bed and, of course, along here too. And I'm going to plant them in the soil, and then I'm going to plant some in the boxes and see what happens. Also, since I'm over here, I have some things that I need to pull out. These beans, they're not doing well. I just think it's just way too hot over here. And so I'm going to pull these beans out and put some flowers in. I'm just going to put flowers in this bed because I don't know what else to do at this point. And I also have a few things that I need to do in here. I'm afraid of the fly. It's a fly. I got to stake some things up. But here's a bit of an update of how things are growing. The banana peppers are looking good. I just harvested some. This honey bear is getting so big. It's actually bigger than my daughter now. Sky Pie, go stand next to the sunflower. No? Okay. Well, it's getting really big. I actually had a hornworm problem. I had like 3 or 4 hornworms that completely took out my leaves. The hornworms literally took me out. Like, where are the leaves on this? I don't know. Leaves gone. Leaves gone. And honestly, at this point, I come out here, well, I do that anyway, but specifically come out here to just double check my tomato plants, making sure that I don't have any hornworms on them. I had one on this one, and I just kind of toss them to the birds. I'm also dealing with a little bit of, I'm not sure what that is, honestly. If you know what that is, please let me know in the comments. But I'm dealing with some blossom end rot. Let me kind of show you what I'm talking about. so here is some blossom end rot. It's not going to be good, so you just kind of toss them. And yeah, so that's what's going on in this garden. This bed is still honestly forgotten about. I'm leaving it to the bugs so they don't come to the things I don't want it to touch. And honestly, I haven't been eating much chard and collard greens or anything like that. So I'm really looking forward to using this bed for some potatoes come maybe August, September. I'm going to have this full of potatoes, and I don't know what I'm going to do for my fall lettuce and all the things, but I'm sure I'll figure it out. But yeah, that is a quick update of ooh, my Lysianthus. They're starting to open up. That was a real live, like, you saw that just as I saw that at the same time. But yeah, so it looks like my Lysianthus are opening up, and I'm excited about that. But I still have a few things I need to go ahead and get this taken care of. I never got started on the garden bed because I need to go get some wood, and flowers that I planted are already starting to thrive and look good. And so I got to really figure this out sooner than later. My chamomile is dying back. I got to figure that out. There's just a lot. Okay. There is a lot that I kind of have to figure out. So yeah, I'm just going to take you guys on the ride of my Garden Diaries. I think I'm going to call this Garden Diaries because I do have videos where I show you what I'm doing in my garden, but they're more like voiceover style. But I also kind of want to talk to y'all and chat with y'all as a means of holding me accountable. And there's no one else in my life that actually likes hearing about my gardening as much as I like talking about it. And so, look, I need an outlet, okay? Because I'm doing this new experiment, I want to make sure I know what I planted where. And so I went to the dollar store and I picked up some, what are these? These are some popsicle sticks. Because who's paying $10 for some burpee plant signs? Go to the Dollar Tree, get you some popsicle sticks, and we are going to just do it like that. So I'm gonna plant out there. This is a Velvet Queen. It looks like this. So pretty and so perfect for fall. I'm gonna plant these in plant seed trays, but I also want to plant a few of these outside in the soil to see what happens, because my soil is playing with me. And if you have any recommendations on how to, get better soil or, create better soil, please let me know, because I'm struggling. I do know that I need to have better composting methods, and I'm looking on Amazon to see if there are any better composting options, like the turning ones, because the one I have right now is man-made. I'm using one of those big totes from Walmart. But honestly, I haven't been able to, and I can't, it gets harder to turn it. And now it's bugs all in it. I don't know if I want to use that for my soil. And so I kind of just want to start over. This next one is called a Chianti Hybrid. And so yeah, I just kind of want to start over with getting my composting game together. That is somewhere where I fail every time I try. And I'm tired of failing. I really am. I really am. Okay, so I pretty much have everything. Huh? You put your boots on and want to go outside? Yeah. Okay, wait. Let me finish telling them what I gotta tell them, okay? Okay, so I pretty much labeled all of the sunflowers. It looks like I'm just gonna do some sunflowers and 2 pumpkins out in the actual soil to test how well they do compared to what I do in my garden trays. But I picked up these edible beauties from Callaway's, and in those boxes, I'm gonna pull out those beans and sprinkle these in there and see what happens. And then I also have the early blooming beekeepers mix. I got these from Callaway's as well, and I'm gonna put this in the other box and see. I'm gonna sprinkle some in the boxes. I'm gonna sprinkle some in the beds. I'm just gonna put them everywhere and see what happens. I also have some straw flower that I'm just specifically going to grow inside of my seed trays. And then I have gross, get your gum, girl go. And then I also have these dwarf sunspot that I'm gonna put in some empty pots that I have. And so we'll see. So let's go. Goodness, look at how big this sunflower seed is. I was not expecting this. We're gonna take a quick pause. Your girl is sweating, it's too hot, it's too sunny. We're gonna wait till the sun go down and I'll be back. Okay, so no, I did not go back outside yesterday. As you can see, this is day 2 of my Garden Diaries. It was a lot yesterday. It was hot, I got drained, and I didn't go back out there. It is actually very hot now, but I do have to get these seeds started. So I'm doing kind of what I showed you yesterday, the Chianti and the Velvet. These are so pretty, and I think will be perfect for fall. I also have the American Giant and a Tithonia. I'm gonna be planting some dwarf sunspot and another Goldie honey bear. The Goldie honey bear that I have out there now looks absolutely amazing, and so I want to have one more. Some straw flower and some calendula, some homemade pickles, and another red sunflower. I did plant some of these from seed out there, and none of them kind of did well, so I'm gonna try it inside of my seed trays. And then some pumpkin pie and mini harvest. As you can see, I'm trying to get a jump start on my fall garden because I always catch the latter end of the season, but I kind of want to be ready for the early end of the season. So that's what I'm doing right now. And I figured I'd chat with you a bit about some of the things that I've learned on my gardening journey. I've only been officially gardening for like 2 years, but I still feel like I've picked up a good amount of tips to help, 1, a new gardener just like me, or 2, someone who hasn't started yet and is considering starting. You can hear some of these tips and not make the same mistakes that I did. So let's start with tip number 1. You can absolutely start your gardening journey on the balcony. And that's where I started. I started on a whole balcony, and all you need is a little bit of space. You don't honestly even need a lot of space because you would obviously be container gardening. And so you just need a little bit of space to put your containers, about 6 hours of sun, and a plant. That's it. That's it. That's literally all you need. Now, I would not suggest you do this if you know that your balcony does not get a lot of sunlight. But if you have a window that gets a lot of sunlight, you can start planting some herbs in that windowsill. Like, you don't have to have 2 acres of land or your own backyard or even grass to start at least learning how to garden. And so I would recommend, even if you're in an apartment, do not wait until you get a backyard or until you get some land to start your gardening journey. At least, Lord willing, when that home or that backyard or those acreage comes, you don't have to learn during that process. You can actually start gardening head full on when you get the land and things, because you've already learned the process of how to do certain things on your balcony or in your apartment. And so that's tip number 1. You don't need grass to garden. The second tip I would say is, honestly, it is one of the most important tips, is that you need to be planting just as many flowers as you're planting vegetables. Now, when I first started growing on my balcony, I did not grow one flower. I was like, I'm not growing anything I can't eat. I'm gonna grow these tomatoes, I'm gonna grow these peppers, I'm gonna grow these eggplants, and that's it. When I tell you nothing got pollinated, I had all these big beautiful plants and no fruits on them, because it's the pollinating flowers that bring the bees and the butterflies that pollinate your vegetables to harvest some fruit. And I had to learn that the hard way. And so I would say right now, make sure you are planting your flowers. Do your research. Honestly, I kill houseplants. And so I had a bad understanding of flowers. I just assumed flower, house, vegetable, garden. And that's not the case. Look in your zone to see what flowers do best in that season, and I'm telling you, it will open up your world to now wanting to plant flowers. All I do now is plant flowers because I'm seeing the beauty that it gives the garden. I'm seeing my ecosystem thrive. I'm seeing the butterflies, I'm seeing the bees. I'm giving back, to our ecosystem and to the good insects. And honestly, it feels good. I'm not gonna lie, it feels good. And so I definitely suggest you do your research on flowers just as much as you're doing your research on vegetables. If you, let's say, want to start growing flowers now, I think the best flowers you can start with right now are zinnias, calendulas, cosmos, marigolds. These are some really easy flowers to start with. It's perfect for the season right now, and they're actually very beautiful. And I would suggest, I like those exotic looking flowers. And so I go to either Johnny Seeds or Rare Seeds, and I get the zinnias that have like the ballerina zinnia. Like, it's a beautiful pastel pink, or, play around with it. It's really fun. It's not just about growing the vegetables. It is an all-encompassing garden with food for yourself and food for the bugs. So that is tip number 2. Okay, so tip number 3 is that you need to be patient with your fruiting plants and your perennials, because they don't always produce that first season. And I had to learn that the hard way. So I went ahead my first year and I bought a bunch of strawberry bare roots, strawberry plants, just any kind of strawberry. And child, they gave me nothing. They gave me absolutely nothing. And then when when the cold came, they died back and they looked so bad. Some of them didn't even have leaves on it. I was like, I'm just not a strawberry grower. I may not have the green thumb that I thought I had. And I ripped all of them out and I threw them away. I know it's cringe for a gardener to hear that, but I did it. I did that. And so, I'm telling you, be patient for those perennials and for those strawberries, blackberries, blueberries, because that first year is where they're really getting their roots established. And it had me thinking, I was like, when I gave my life to Christ and I was getting rooted, right? And yeah, part of me at some point when I first gave my life to Christ, I was still dibbling and dabbling in the things I did in my old life. But what if the Lord just ripped me and plucked me out right then and there? Tragic. We would not want him to do that to us. And so don't do that to your plants. Okay, give them some time, let them get rooted, let them get established, let them get some community in that soil, okay, before we go ahead and start ripping it out. And that's what I'm doing this year. So I'm starting my strawberries all over again, and they're not giving me a thing, but I know now. Let them do what they need to do. Some of them are even putting out runners. So if you don't know, strawberry gives out runners to where it will create a new strawberry plant for you. Get those runners. You can honestly, when you buy a strawberry plant, you don't have to buy another one again because it will constantly keep giving you more strawberries. So just let them do their thing, let them get established, and they will grow. Echinacea, Shasta daisies. What is another flower? Those are the two that I have at the top of my head that they do need 2 seasons in order to bloom and look beautiful in the pictures that we see. They don't just come that first season. So definitely be patient with your plants. If garden doesn't teach you anything, it teaches you patience, honey. It teaches you to wait for your season, okay? Honey, let me tell you. The fourth thing that I will say is it's absolutely okay to follow gardeners that have those beautiful, aesthetically pleasing gardens. I follow a lot of people who have really beautiful gardens, but they don't necessarily live in my zone. And so what I would tell you is to make sure you're following people that live in your zone, because that's the easiest way of staying on track with what to plant in that season and when. Because if you're following, for instance, I'm in zone 8B, but if I'm following someone in zone 7B and they're starting their tomatoes at a particular time and I decide to start my tomatoes at the same time, I'm not going to get the best of that growing season because they stay colder longer. And so they're starting their tomatoes when it works best for their frost date. I have to follow people who have necessarily the same frost date or around the same time frost date as me. So like I said, I'm not stopping you from following people with beautiful gardens because I follow people with beautiful gardens. I love seeing their garden harvest and they be like, oh, I got some radishes, I got some tomatoes, and it has a little pluck sound like an ASMR type of thing. Like, I love that. But I also need to make sure that I am following people in my zone so I can stay updated when to plant my potatoes, when to plant my sweet potatoes and things like that. So make sure you're following people, even if their garden is not as aesthetically pleasing as the ones that you follow. Still follow them because it will keep you on task. It will keep you up to date with what you have to do. Even if you're in zone B, start planting some of your sunflowers right now for the fall season. You'll get some in the summer and you'll also get it through the fall. So yeah, look, helping you right now. You can plant some cucumbers right now. You can plant some pumpkin right now. Maybe not the huge jack-o'-lanterns or anything like that. And maybe you can get away with that. I'm not going to do that. But you can plant the smaller pumpkins and things right now. So I say make sure you are having a good blend of gardeners in your subscriber list so you can stay up to date. And now this is the last tip, and I know I've been saying all of them are super important, but I think this is the most important tip ever. Do not compare your gardening journey or your garden to anyone else. Now, comparison is the thief of joy. It's the thief of creativity. It's the thief of actually enjoying the journey. Do not compare. You think that comparison only stems from lifestyle. Oh, don't compare your life, your home. Oh, I got to get that home because they have a home. I got to get that job because they have a job. I have to get that car because they have a car. I got to go on vacation because they go on vacation, right? That's the story of our lives, especially when it comes to us scrolling on social media. But the same thing could be done in the garden. I got to get that garden bed because they have that garden bed. I have to get that kind of soil because they have that kind of soil. I have to get that kind of compost bin because they have that compost bin. Honey child, my soil is a mess. I don't have good soil at all. And I also do struggle with wanting to have certain things because it may look better or it may do better. But at the end of the day, you have to work with what you got. You cannot go into debt trying to keep up with the Garden Joneses. You cannot go broke trying to keep up with every vegetable harvest that you see. And I'm a victim to that too. Listen, honey, I'm talking at you. I'm talking at us, okay? Because it's hard out here in these streets when you want to have the beauty, you want to have the harvest, you want to feed your entire family based on your garden, but sometimes it's not always set up like that. Enjoy the journey of where you are and watch how every year things start to increase. Watch how every year things start to evolve based on the knowledge that you're learning, based on the changes in your personal life where you can start to afford better things. I will at one point be able to afford the Happy Frog soil to make my plants happy. But for right now, I get the $4.99 organic compost from Lowe's. I get the $7.99 organic garden soil from Home Depot. I can't think of the name. It's not Miracle Girl, but I'll put a picture or something right here. But that's what I can do right now. That's what I can work with. I don't have the beautiful metal raised beds that look absolutely amazing. I make my own garden beds for less than $20. Okay, you work with what you have. Everyone's journey is different and everyone's journey is beautiful in their own right. I started in an apartment on a balcony. Now you're seeing me in a backyard, which this is a home that I'm renting. I don't even own this home. And so I'm praying at one point you will see me on acreage. You heard that, Lord? I just throw that prayer up there like that. But for now, you see what I have and what I'm working with. Don't compare what I have and what I'm working with to what you have, because you don't know the journey that got me to this point, and it was also hard, and I don't know your journey. All we can do is just encourage each other in our journey and continuously learn from one another. I want to read the scripture to you that I recently read, and it says in Galatians 6 verses Paul says, each one should test their own actions. Then they can take pride in themselves alone without comparing themselves to someone else. God doesn't ask us to have the biggest or prettiest garden. He simply asks us to be faithful. Gardening is slow, sacred, a sacred rhythm. It reflects the heart of God, patient, nurturing, and abundant. So tend your little plot with joy, knowing that He delights in what you're growing, both in your soil and in your soul. Okay, so I'm gonna share one more bonus tip with you. Your garden will absolutely almost every time break your heart. I came outside because I was trying to see if it was still cooling down a little bit to start planting those things I was planting yesterday in the soil. Not those things, those plants, those seeds. And I saw something that actually looked pretty cool until I walked up close to it. Let me show you this. It looks like some of the tomatoes back here are turning color, right? Well, let's actually take a better look. Child, they all have blossom and rot. All of them. And so, yeah, they're changing colors, but they're not useful. They're not good. And so don't try to save it, because there's nothing you can do. Once this happens, there's nothing you can do. I just kind of tossed them to the side, and I showed you that yesterday. I thought it was just on that one plant, but it's clearly happening to a lot of my Roma tomatoes. And so that just means that my tomatoes are lacking in calcium. And so I already purchased some lime and some gypsum. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly. And so when I come out there, it still seems like it's just a little bit too hot for me to be out here. But when I come back out here later, before I plant those seeds in the soil, I'm going to go ahead and put some lime and some gypsum on those tomato plants, because we can't lose these tomatoes. They're thriving, they're looking good. It's getting too close to harvest time for me to be throwing most of my tomatoes away. finally cool enough for me to go ahead and plant the things that I wanted to do inside of the soil for the experiment. But now I'm racing against time because it is starting to get dark and I still have to water everything. But I did kind of want to show you something before I end off this vlog. I absolutely did go to the plant store and I absolutely did find a tomato. This is a tomato pineapple. First things first, don't ever let anyone tell you that if you buy plants from the store, you're not a real gardener. I mix growing things from seed and getting plants from the nursery, because at the end of the day, if you miss a window, if something doesn't sprout, or if you want to try something first before you actually grow it from seed, it's absolutely okay. Don't let anyone try to make you feel like you're not a real gardener if you buy plants, because I absolutely buy plants and I absolutely start seeds. You do what works best for you. But anyway, I want to get this planted. I think I'm going to put it, let me show you. I think I'm going to put it here because, ooh, it fell. I think I'm gonna put it there because I also have a lemon boy there. And keep in mind, they're too small for me to get any real fruits from it for the summer, but it will give me some good fruits for fall. So this is like a gardening vlog where I did a lot of things in preparation for fall, apparently. But yeah, so that is one thing. Look at these cucumbers, honey. But yeah, so that was one thing I kind of wanted to show you before I ended out this vlog. I really like doing these garden diary style videos. I guess you can call this episode 1. I know my kids, y'all hear my kids in the back, but I'm a mom. I'm a stay-at-home mom at that. And so y'all just gonna have to deal with hearing them in my background. And this is also something that I enjoy allowing them to watch. Hopefully they get to grow their love for gardening as well. But yeah, let me know if this is videos that you like. If you did, please like, subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss another video from me. Bye.